Hello, my friends. It is Linda with Sweet Aria Decor. I hope you are doing well. Thank you for joining me for Read Some More Wednesdays. And tonight we're going to be making an easy grapevine that's going to come from a kit. I just dropped this kit in my shop like 3 minutes ago. But what I wanted to do was create a grapevine kit that was easy for beginners who are not used to using grapevines to not feel intimidated with trying to add in the florals and all the other things. So we're going to make this is an easy kit. Now you can get this kit and you can add in florals. You can make this as elaborate as you want. You can use this as the base and build it out. But I wanted to make this nice and simple for beginners. So how we're going to make this simple is most of the things I'm going to attach tonight, I am not going to hot glue in because I think that can actually scare a lot of people. Well, hello, Michelle. Thanks for joining. And Jan, thank you so much. We're going to be using zip ties. We're going to zip tie in a lot of our greenery, our florals. I'm going to show you how I use pipe cleaners to attach the sign. And then we have, look at this pretty, I love this. Look at this. Anytime there is a chenille edge on a ribbon, I am there for that. Absolutely. But our focal point is going to be this Love Grows Here sign. I've had this on import and it finally came in. So I'm very excited about that. I am going to be having another kit listed shortly, probably at some point tomorrow, that's going to be a thin mesh wreath that will also use this sign. It will use this ribbon as well as a couple additional ribbons. All right, but I wanted to do at least a grapevine kit with this sign. This is going to be made on an 18-inch round grapevine. So you're going to have our sign over here, and then we're going to have our florals, and then we're going to have our bow kind of right here. So I'm going to kind of put the sign not totally in the center, but down a little bit. And then that way we can have our greenery coming out and then our bow up a little higher. So it's slightly on a diagonal. I don't want it to go side by side too much. I want to be able to go kind of down. But we want to keep this sign, we want to keep the shape in line with this. So I'm not going to stick it out that far. Okay, we're going to kind of just slightly past what is, I think, the normal rounded shape for that. Okay, so we're going to do that. We're also going to zip tie in, like I showed you when I first came on. This is purple greenery. So this, we call this 60919. That used to be the SKU number. It is not anymore. Now it is called FH807172. But I do have this for sale by itself in my shop. Okay, I've got, the kit comes with 2 of these. And it also comes with 2 of these. Now I ordered these special to go with the sign because I just thought that was really pretty. I like the different peach, kind of like a deeper peach, almost kind of an orange, but not really an orange. It's got the yellow in here, but I did bring in, see, there's a little lavender, and that is where this kind of comes in to give it that look. Okay, so what I want to do first is talk about how we're going to attach the sign. All right, so I'm going to move my zip ties over to the side. There are 2 ways to attach a sign. The kit will come with 2 of these cable tie mounts. What you can do with these cable tie mounts is flip it over, and then let me grab my tube of adhesive. Where did I put it? It's somewhere. Here it is. So this is our favorite craft adhesive, or for most of us anyway. It's called E6000. You can get this hardware store. You can get this at Hobby Lobby, all those places. So what you would do is, first of all, we're going to hold up our sign. Okay. We're going to figure out where would I want the cable tie mounts. What points are they going to hit? So I will use my middle fingers to kind of figure out where I want those to be. I'll come in about 2 inches up from the bottom and 2 inches down from the top. So I'm kind of thinking that looks pretty good. Okay, so that would be where I would put my cable tie mounts, right where my middle fingers are. Okay, I'm going to cut off the rope. We don't use the rope. Here we go. What I would do using the E6000 for method 1 is you would remove this plastic, the paper backing, okay? So you're looking at the sticky of the cable tie mount. Imagine that's off. We would put a pea-size amount of that on here. We would put a pea-size amount of that directly on the sign, as I learned last week in the Makers and Bloom Summit. That was a trick that I did not know. You want to have 2 points of contact. So put a little dab on the sign, a little dab on here, okay, on both spots. Put it down there. Now, it would take about 24 hours to cure. But then while that's curing, we're going to go around the edge of this with our glue gun. This is going to hold it on there temporarily. So you would glue it around the edge so you get the glue on both the sign and the plastic cable tie mount. Shay, my shop is called SweetAriaDecor.com. So it's just like my business name, but it's all shoved together as one word. Going to that.com will take you to my Etsy shop for right now. Eventually, it is going to route you to a Shopify store, but I'm not quite there yet. Okay? So we're going to have that. And good evening, Sherry. I am so excited you guys are here. Thank you so much. Oh, Tanika, hello. Thank you guys so much for joining. This is going to be fun. Okay, that was method 1 for cable timeout. The other method, this is the method I like to use because I'm in Chicago. We are windy as heck. I will cut 2 1-inch squares for the bottom and 2 1-inch squares for the top. Okay, stack them up. I'm going to use a staple gun. Now, my staples are longer than the sign. So then the sign is deep, so I don't want the staples coming through the front. So I will take the staple gun. So I've got 2 1-inch squares, flatten them down. I cut these off of a roll of mesh. So that the tube that comes down the center of the mesh, I hold on to those and I use those to cut this up. So sometimes that means the cardboard is rounded. So then that means we've got to flatten it out. So we'd flatten it out, okay? I've got this here, so I'm going to bring this here and I'm going to put, I kind of center it right on there. And I like to staple it at least 2 to 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Look at me. I can count. Yay, Linda. Woo. Sorry. Here we're going to go on the bottom. 1, 2. Oops. Come on. I'm out of staples. Okay, well, this one just got it twice, but that's okay. It's going to hold. It's good enough. It's good enough. Wow, I thought I just refilled those. So I'm going to bring these up. We are going to put these right through here. Now, a lot of beginners want to wrap this around the wreath. We don't want to see these, so don't wrap it around, okay? But we're going to want to feed these through the grapevine, okay? So I'm going to hold it down here. Let's figure out my placement, okay? There and there. I'm going to hold it down here in place while I feed these in up at the top. I want to try to feed a little off to the left and a little off to the right. But you don't want to see these pipe cleaners from the side, okay? You could use other colors. I just chose to use white. Why? I don't know. Actually, I want to go around the other side of that one. You want to try to get in as much of the meatiness of the grapevine as you can. Okay, so I'm pulling that. I'll pull that to me. So now this is what I'm looking at right here. Okay, it's come through, but it's not sticking out all the way, right? Just want to tug this. Maybe if you want to use black or beige, you can do that too. I probably will put a different color pipe cleaner in the kit. I just grabbed white because that's what I had on hand. Okay, now I'm going to go back and I'm going to do the same with the bottom. Now, don't pull this too far out because you don't want to go loosening it up. But you also, especially if you got E6000 on there, like, be gentle. But we want to get this through there, and we're going to get it through here. So I'm just going to push it through the grapevine. I heard it through the grapevine. No, it's not talking to me. I don't know. Maybe I should be worried if it is. If your wreath starts talking to you, you might have a problem. All right, so I want to pull it tight. Before I start twisting, I want to take a look. Does it look centered? Do I like it? Yeah. I like this. I think it's good. Pokes out just a little bit, not too terribly far, but it's still kind of in line with that. So I like that. So I'm going to twist this. Okay. And I'm just twisting these pipe cleaners. I twist them into one long piece. Okay. Then I like to trim the edges just so that they're equal. Because I'm weird, I know. But I don't want to snip them too close because if I need to move the sign, I want to have that leverage, the ability to do so. So I'm just going to take this and push it right back into the grapevine. Okay. So keep that in here. Just kind of push it right back inside so we don't see it. Well, there we go. There we go, my friends. It's looking good, looking good. You can always, hey, if it's going to hang a little bit one way because we don't have any weight on the other side yet. It will balance out once we get weight over there. Okay. All right. I'm going to clean up some of the grapevine. You know, when you work with the grapevine, or maybe you don't, sometimes it sheds a little bit of stuff. Some people take them outside, they beat them with a broom. Some people hose them off, or take like a brush to it, just to try to clean them up a little bit. These ones from General Wholesale came really nice. Like this one hardly has any leaves on it at all. Okay. All right. Straighten yourself out, sir. There you go. Thank you. That's what you should be doing. All right. Now, we're not using our ribbon yet, and I've got one left. We're using that for the bow later. So we have 2 of these, and we have 2 of these. Hey, Justin, how's it going? Pam, my friend Pam. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for joining in tonight. I really appreciate it. So the first thing I want to do is cut the tags off, because if I don't, I forget, and then it looks really tacky. So let's get the tags off. All right. And again, the greenery with the purple is available in my shop. I'll hold it up in a minute. SweetAriaDecor.com. So like I said, we want to try to do this easy, okay? I'm trying not to use glue because I want to introduce people to using this for a grapevine, okay? So we're going to layer this. I'm going to start with this right here, okay? Then I'm going to come in and I'm going to put this kind of behind it, but we're going to kind of work together to kind of bring all this stuff together. So I'm holding these pieces together, okay? Kind of spread all this out. When you get your florals, make sure that you take these pieces and you spread them apart. Don't pull them apart, but you want to think of it as airing them out, okay? Air them out so that they have room to breathe, okay? So I've got my purple a little bit higher up, so it's going to kind of come out that way, but then see, it kind of looks really nice, right? And it's going to be nice and easy. Okay, I've got that bundled. I'm going to put that one down. I'm going to come in. I'm going to do the same with the other one. So let's fluff this. These flat fern pieces I like to always keep in the back. Just kind of separate it out. It's like when you're hot and sweaty and you lift up your arms and you're airing out the pits. Yeah, that's what it's like. All right. Purple's just slightly higher behind it. It's kind of this one right here on the purple would kind of come in between these two. We're just kind of mixing it all together, right? It wants to feel like it's just, hey, I just ran across this in a garden and it's there and it grew naturally like this. Kind of like a bit of a wildflower feel, right? Now these 2 up top, you could probably just move slightly separate just so that we don't lose anything with that. But then here is the second. Think of it in terms of bundling. Okay, that's what I learned from Coach Jordan from Decor Exchange, is about the wonders of the bundling, okay? Now this one came with a bunch of zip ties. We may not use all of these, but I wanted to at least have them there as an option. Okay, so we're going to have one bundle up and one bundle down, okay? It's going to go kind of like this, and then our bow will go right down kind of where my left hand is, all right? So that's the goal. So I'm leaving these stems on here for now. What I'm trying to do is figure out where I'm going to have my zip tie go through. So I'm going to pull my zip tie through. And I'm not having it go all the way around the back, but I'd say around like half of it at least, okay? Pulling that zip tie through. All right, kind of holding it there. Okay, and you can feel it and click, click, click. I like to actually have that part with the buckles kind of like, let's pull it to the inside. Right? But nice and tight for right now. And then we can kind of pull it down, separate it out. One thing that I like to do is also bend it, but we're going to do that in just a minute. So I have one zip tie in here. I'm going to want more, okay, but I just wanted to bundle it like that for now. For example, like over here, we have this piece right here. This is the center piece of the purple. I want to be able to zip tie that to here as well to add some stability. So I'm going to just go through. And it doesn't have to go through the whole thing, just enough. We're going to pull it through, and we're going to just zip tie that, okay? So we're not using any glue to put this on here. We're just using zippy ties and trying to push that down so we cover it. But we're going to have the florals and everything. It's going to be covered. You're not going to see it. It's going to look pretty. That's going to go right in front of it, especially that fern. That'll be nice. Now this one, I don't think I need anything on there. Okay? It's doing pretty well on its own. But I want to kind of bend that a little bit. Just bend it a little bit so it's not sticking straight up. Let's kind of bend it a little bit so kind of a very gentle curve coming over this way. Okay? All right. I do want to go in and add another set of zip ties right down here now. Okay? Boom. Make sure that's nice and tight. All right. Snip. All right. Now that we've got that done, I don't need this extra. So I am going to snip this off as close to it as I can get. I do one at a time because these are my dad's snips and they're older and they're not as sharp as they used to be, but they will always be my favorite. Oh, that one flung. Okay. Oh, hey, my aunt is on. Hey there, Aunt Sue. I want to make sure I answer anybody's questions. All right. Hello, Teresa. Leslie. Awesome. So Jen, no, I either use the E6000 on the cable tie mounts. I can either E6000 and then go around with hot glue, or I can take 1-inch cardboard squares, 2 at the top, 2 at the bottom, and then put my pipe cleaner on top of that and then staple it. So I gave you 2 different options. If you trust the glue and you're not in an area where, you know, you're worried about things like melting off, you can use the glue. I prefer staple gun just because I'm impatient, but I want to make sure that it stays. And I don't have any problems with using the pipe cleaner with the staple gun. But you have to build up the back because you don't want your staples coming through the front of the sign. Alrighty. Fling. Alright. Here is our next set. Now I'm probably going to try to cut these down a little bit before I put them on, simply because I don't want to have them going into there, and I don't want to have to fight and move the greenery around to get to the end of the stems. Okay? So we can either go that way with it, or we can go that way. It seems to me there is more in here to base it on. If I put it on the inside, see on the inside here, there's more stuff that I can butt it up against. So I don't want to have this down here. That is too low. Okay, that is way too low, because then the bow isn't going to be that big. We want to bring it up. And there can be a little bit of a gap, but not too much. There's just a little bit of a gap. Okay? All right, so that's where I'm going to want to put this. So I am going to put this down for a second. Find where I had the zippy ties. Sometimes I have to feed it through the back and then come back around and feed it through the front. So it all depends how much access you have to it. But you can see I've got this right here. I've got it in there now, so all I have to do, because this is bundled together, is keep those together. Put it right in here, and I'm making sure that this is flat up against on the grapevine. Let me get this zipped to, or get it started. Sometimes you can even start the zip tie and just slide it up into it if that's easier. Okay? All right, so this is just step 1. Now you can hit all this with hot glue when you're done too. You don't have to just rely on the zip ties. But I think using hot glue on greenery sometimes intimidates people, so that's why I wanted to do this method. Okay. All right, so we'll be able to put a nice pretty bow in there. We're going to separate this out. We're going to curve this in here. But like we did before, I still have some zip ties left, and I want to add some more stability. So I take this green stem, the tall green stem that's right down here, and I want to add a zip tie so that that doesn't pull away from the wreath. Now, we don't want all this stuff to be super, super tight against here. We want it to have movement and life, right? You don't want everything smashed in your grapevine, but you also don't want anything to potentially come off. So that's why I like this as a method. I'm trying to find the end to my zip tie. Here we go. All right. Okay, so I'm just gonna zip tie this right here. Yay. Okay. Try to pull it inward. There. Now, I did not do that with the peach and yellow greenery because this seems pretty good and secure, so I don't feel like that's something that I need to do, but I can if I wanted to. Okay, and then we spread this out. So we're getting beautiful coverage. We don't have to have a lot on here. You can also you can get some individual flowers if you want to build off of this kit. And then you can just work them in here. You can kind of move them into the grapevine as you want, right? So you can put some peach floor in there. If you want to work on any other colors that are in here, you can absolutely do that. All right. Here we go. See, I want to bring some of the purple toward the front, especially with the berries, making it feel like it's integrated, right? That looks nice. We're going to work a little bit more on integrating it down here, and then we move to the bow. The bow on the bottom. That's going to be nice. Now, this is on the topmost and the bottommost piece of this 60919 purple greenery. There are these twigs. I like to take these twigs and just curl them around my finger. I want to keep them there for volume, but sometimes when they're just sticking straight out, it gets annoying. So the ones up here, we're going to do this with. Okay, I'm going to move this a little further back. I want to make sure you guys can see the top of this. Here we go. You know what? Here we go. I did that, guys. Sorry, you get to look at my ceiling now, okay? So that is that. Now we have to make the bow. I use a bow maker. You can make this by yourself with your own hands if you'd like. But I just use a bow maker. All right. Now, I love this ribbon. I have been dying to use this ribbon. I'm going to make sure, too, that I've got the bow maker well enough in view to go sideways so that you guys can see exactly how I am doing this. I want to, I think, bring it up even a little bit more. Okay. How's that? Does that look good? No, you still need more. Here, I'm gonna do this. There we go. All right. I want to make sure you can, absolutely sure you can see what I'm doing. Okay. Even if I have to reach over the table and hit it with my stomach, which I will. All right. So this is the 1.5 inch. We're only going to use a 1.5 inch. Okay. But we're going to have some tails coming out. And this has, look at that chenille edge. I love a chenille edge. All right, so your roll, you get a whole roll with the kit. This one, I like to just kind of cut off the bottom. Now, there's different things that you can do with the bottom of your tails. You can dovetail it, which means like you would, I'll do a little dovetail. You would snip it like that, put the wire edges together and cut on an angle upward. And then you end up with a V, right? So you could do that and just have your tails be straight and coming down. Or, since I have some, I'll just cut this off. You can bend it a little bit, and then you can take this, you wrap it around your finger, okay? So you kind of roll the ribbon like that, okay? And then you would take the inside and then just kind of pull it down gently, okay? And you end up with like these curls, these little tendrils and curls. So which do you guys want me to do on this? Do you want flat tails or do you want curly tendrils? Tails or curls? Carrie! Oh my gosh, Carrie from across the pond. I am so excited for you planning your wreath retreat. Oh, if I had the money, and I would love to come. I just miss you. I just miss you. I just miss you. That's okay. I'm sure, hopefully I get to see you soon. Oh, Kathy would add a butterfly. That would look really pretty in here. Shay, I usually go live on Monday. Crafternoons are Mondays at 12 Central and then Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Central. All right. So you guys got to let me know. I'm trying to look in the comments here. Do you want tails or curls? Okay. This is the curl. We could do curls or we could have plain old tails. I personally kind of like the idea of the curl. Okay. So I'm kind of liking that, but I think I want to add like a bunch of curls. So like another actual set of tails. Here we go. All right. So I think I'm going to do that. Okay. We're going to go curl. All right. So what I want to do then is that was how much I curled it up. I want to unroll it and see how much do I need to match that. Okay. And it's got a little extra. So I am measuring this at, this is about, I would say, we're going to call it 18 inches, guys. Let's call it 18 inches. Okay, so 36 total. So just take a whole yard, and you're going to cut that. And then we're just going to bend these in a little bit. Okay. And then I'm going to go up from the bottom. I'm just going to wrap it around my finger. And somebody says I don't have them wrapped around my little finger. I don't. I have nobody wrapped around my finger. If I have anybody wrapped around a finger, it's probably my middle one. All right, here we go. And then kind of wrap in the other way. I want to kind of wrap it now just so it kind of gets out of the way. Okay. All right, and I think that is, there we go. So I'm going to put this in my bow maker. That's kind of like my bottom little layer. Okay. Now I'm going to put this in here. I'm going to make my next set. Okay. So I think that was 18. I'll do 16 on here. Okay. 16. I will wrap that one in a minute. Okay. So those are the tendrils to come down from the bottom. This one will wrap in a little bit. This is a 16-inch tail. I did bend up the bottom twice just so that it doesn't unroll on us. Okay. Now we're going to make our loops. So how the bow maker works is if you hold it with your right hand on the one side and then you pinch and twist on the other side, you're going to end up looking at the back side of the ribbon on the left, which is what we want. That is the back of our first loop. Then I'm going to bring this around and we're going to have a loop, and this is, I want to go maybe like 6.5 inches. I don't want this to be too massive, but I want to make sure that we are able to fill in enough in here. Okay, so that's kind of like, yeah, so about 6.5 inches on that loop. Okay, so then I push this back in here. I make sure it looks like 6.5 here. I'm not squishing the loop. I'm just following the natural curve. And then I'm going to hold that with my left hand. And then with my right hand, I will pinch on that right side and then twist it down so that I'm looking at the back side of the ribbon. Okay, looking at the back side. And then I put this through and make sure that that's at 6.5. Okay. I'm going to pinch and twist. I'm going to make another loop. And this time I'm just going to make sure it's the same size as the one below it. Okay, same size. Holding that in place on the left, pinch and twist it on the right. Here we go. Another 6.5-inch loop. Okay. And we'll do another set just for fun. Okay. It's a 6.5-inch loop. Now I'm going to pinch and twist, but now I'm going to bring in, we're going to do some smaller ones. Okay, so I'm pinching and twisting. So this left loop here is probably going to be, we'll make this one 5 inches, okay? 5 inches. Pinch and twist on the right. And now we have 5 inches here. Pinch. And then pinch and twist. So we're looking at the back again on the left. Now this one is not going to have like one of those sweet little center loops. We're going to take these loops and kind of pull them out toward us so that it has volume and it has more dimension to it. Okay. 5.5 and 5.5. Okay, so I'm done with my loops, but now I want to make sure I measure the same length of tail that I had here, okay? So how I like to do it is just, I hold them side by side, like when you're getting your hair cut and they bring your hair down underneath your bangs, okay? So we're going to bring that down. You guys can see. Now this one has to be a little bit longer because I bent it up, right? So we bent this up and then we bent it up, okay? Now sometimes on chenille, ribbon, you're going to have to make sure that that wire is kind of pushed to the side so your chenille isn't bending in toward you. Kind of goes out. So just kind of work your fingers. Work it with your hands. It'll look just fine. All right, now I'm going to curl these up as well. Curl this up as well. So you guys can see me curling, curling, curling. Try to make sure you guys can see. I should have had a better camera angle before I started. Sorry about that. Now I'm going to grab my chenille stem. Ooh, here we go. I'm going to pick up the whole thing. Hold it in my hand nice and tight. Okay. All right, so I've got it in here. I'm going to just feed this pipe cleaner right through my ring finger and my middle finger. Bring it around till it's kind of like centered. Now here at this point, I can just put this on the table to make sure I push down and get a really nice, good, tight twist, okay? All right, so then I've got it like this. Oh my, that looks like a hot mess. It won't be. It looks like it for now, okay? So I like to start from the back. I'm going to take my left loop, one down, one up, one down, one in the middle. Okay, and then we're going to kind of go a little more up. And this one's kind of going to go like, you know, a little more down again. Now these middle ones, we want to pinch these together, okay? I don't want to see the chenille stem in the middle, okay? So that's going to be, that's cute. It's cute, but it's not too much, I don't think. All right. So now we're going to match that on the other side. What did we do? We're going to go down with one loop, up with one loop, and then in the middle. And that can go up. This one in right behind it can go down. Because I want to keep these two kind of equal. Okay? I'm not going to worry about the tails yet. I just kind of wanted to work on the loops. Again, once we get it on here, we're going to make sure that our chenille edge isn't pushed inward, that it remains outside, flush to the outside of the ribbon. All right, bow maker, you can go. Now we're bringing back our wreath. And just like we did with the sign, we're just going to push these in between the grapevine, okay? So I'm going to go right where the zip ties are is where I'm going to feed this through. All right, one and one. If this is too tight, if it doesn't go through all the way, you're having issues, you can always add another chenille stem onto it to kind of lengthen it. Okay? But for me, this feels good. Okay? I'm just going to take these. If hopefully you guys can see where I'm taking it, and I'm just twisting these. I'm pushing right on a branch, and I'm just twisting this all together. Okay? Twist, twist, twist. Just kind of pushing that, and then move it, you know, inside here. If you can get that right in there, then it's between branches and nothing gets scratched. All right. Here we go. I think when I pack the kit, I will put in an extra chenille stem for that, because we don't want that, okay? All right, now we're going to kind of work on moving everything around. All right? So we're going to move our loops. Getting loopy. Now we also want to talk about making sure that these florals come up a little bit, and we don't want the tails covering the florals. So kind of bring them up, bring them in. Kind of working it through there, okay? We can do that. We don't want to cover any of the florals like that. Oh, that's perfect right in there, okay? It's just a nice, easy spring bow. Okay. So now I've curled these up, and we can always cut these smaller if we want to. Hey, Christy, how's it going? Hello, hello, hello. I want to make sure I say hi to everybody, so give me a second here. I want to go in and greet people. It is so hard to do this and be answering comments at the same time. It is crazy. Curls, curls, curls. Okay. I had some for tails, some for curls. All right. Oh, Carrie, you are so sweet. I miss you. I really wish they were doing another Wreath Makers Live, but you know what? We'll find a way. We'll find a way to meet. Okay. Now, see, I like this ribbon because it's kind of, it's a little stiff. We like it a little stiff, don't we? Yes, we do. Yes, we do. We do. All right. So I'm going to take these, and I'm going to kind of hold it up here and then kind of pull down a little bit, and it makes that really pretty tendril shape, okay? Pull this up, pull this down. And then just separate it out a little bit. You can always re-roll it if you want to as well, right? I don't want to pull, I think I pulled too much of that one out. I don't want to do that. And I also, you might notice a wire popping out, so just trim the wire. Woo, there we go. All right, start kind of curling that back again. I'm going to grab this, just kind of pull it down a little bit, right? These aren't super massive, but they're adding a lot more visual interest. And we want it to go on the other side of our floral. Now we're going to kind of go this way. Pull these down this way. And then on this side, here we go. I gotta get my finger in there. I got my nails cut much shorter this week, and I'm not used to having shorter nails. So I'm all at odds with myself. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. So do you see here how this is kind of, I can see the peach? That's because that wire bent over. So we have to take our hands and just make sure that we're seeing the chenille part. It just happens because when they're putting on the roll, that's a very common thing to have happen. I see it more often on the 1.5 than I do on the 2.5, but there we go. Okay, and here is our very easy, I did not use any glue to make this grapevine wreath. You can go in, for example, if I was worried about something, hey, maybe that feels a little loose or something, I could go in, I could add some glue right in here where the zip ties meet, all that kind of stuff. I could put that in there if I wanted to, but I don't really need it in there to secure it because it's holding up really well. Now, if you wanted to be a bit more advanced, if you're used to making things with florals and whatnot, you could pull these apart. So the greenery comes in 3 pieces. Let me bring one out and I can show you kind of what that looks like. I've got a pink one as an example. With this one, when you pull it apart, you can definitely see there are 3 pieces. You can pull all 3 pieces apart. You can trim this down to here, and you could glue them and push them in separately into the wreath. So that's how, once you've been making these for a little bit and you get comfortable, that is the next level that you can move up to in terms of trying to make a greenery wreath. But this is just a nice intro way to say, hey, you can get this kit in my shop, sweetariadecor.com. You can use this as a starter, and then you can decide, hey, I want to add more florals. I want to add some larger buds. You can absolutely do that. Use it just as a starting point, okay? All right, here we go. Make sure we get the whole sign in there, the whole kit and caboodle. I don't even know what a caboodle is other than when I put my makeup in back in the 1980s. But here we go. This is our finished wreath. I'm so excited because it kind of means like spring is here. I'm so depressed with the weather. It will be so nice to have something nice and fun and springy on the front door. And then you can go grab this kit again in my shop along with lots of other items, mesh, ribbon, signs, lots of fun stuff. sweetariadecor.com. This video is going to be backed up to my YouTube channel. I have a huge library out there of lots of videos showing you how to do different kinds of things. That library stays out there and it doesn't get removed because it's not mean like Facebook. All right, you can also follow me TikTok, Instagram, and I've started something called Epic Studios, but I only have 4 videos. So we'll see if anything else comes of that.
Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please like and subscribe to my channel. You can follow me all over social media, and you can shop my store at sweetariadecor.com.